Admiral Helena Chen stood alone in her private observatory, the reinforced glass dome offering an unfiltered view of Earth's night sky. Her weathered fingers traced the old scar tissue running from her left temple to jaw, a permanent reminder of the day the galaxy had taught humanity its place. A soft chime from her console disrupted the silence. Helena's eyes narrowed as she studied the anomalous energy signature pulsing at the edge of the solar system, precisely where the Galactic Treaty forbade human surveillance. "Computer, magnify Sector 7, she commanded, her voice steady despite the cold dread forming in her stomach. The holographic display zoomed in, revealing a distortion too regular to be natural. "Run comparison with archived signatures from the Armistice War." "Working," the AI responded. "Match found. 86% similarity to Vrek stealth technology, circa 2283. Helena's grip tightened around her cane, knuckles whitening. 50 years of peace, if one could call enforced technological stagnation, peace, potentially shattered by a species thought contained centuries ago. The treaty that followed Earth's defeat had been brutally one-sided. Humanity's colonies beyond Mars were dismantled. Earth's most advanced technologies were confiscated, and the orbital bombardments that had reduced Shanghai, Nairobi, and Dallas to rubble served as constant reminders of the consequences of defiance. The galaxy believed humanity chastened, its famous fighting spirit finally broken. They were wrong. "Admiral Chen," a voice interrupted from the doorway. "Ambassador Zorn requests your presence. The monthly compliance inspection is scheduled to begin." Helena nodded to her aide, a young lieutenant whose rigid posture betrayed military training far beyond what the treaty permitted. "Inform the ambassador I'll be there momentarily." After the aide departed, Helena activated her personal terminal, bypassing the council-monitored communications network. Her fingers hovered over the encryption keys as decades of caution wrestled with urgency. Finally, she typed, "Anomaly detected. Possible Vrek signature. Requesting verification." The response came faster than she expected. "Titan Outpost Dark. 57 personnel missing. Defense buoys in Sector 12 through 17 disabled before alerting." This is not a drill. Helena closed her eyes briefly, absorbing the weight of what was coming. Beneath her official admiral's uniform, a small quantum transmitter pressed against her skin. Her connection to Earth's true military leadership, the shadow force that had been preparing in secret bunkers beneath the oceans and inside hollowed-out asteroids. When she entered the diplomatic chamber, Ambassador Zorn's multiple appendages were already arranging data tablets into precise geometric patterns, a characteristic of his species' obsessive need for order. "Admiral Chen," the alien's translator vocalized while his actual speech stacks pulsated with colors humans couldn't fully perceive. "Perhaps it's time we discussed reducing your military even further. These continued readiness drills seem excessive for a species under protection." Helena maintained her practiced mask of deference as the alien's tentacles dismissively waved off her attempted explanation about the anomalous readings. "Paranoid delusions," Zorn continued, "quite typical of primitive species that once experienced trauma. Your people simply cannot accept their rightful place in the galactic hierarchy." As she left the meeting, Helena's communicator vibrated with an incoming message. 4 simple words appeared on her secure implant display. Words that hadn't been used in 50 years. "Afterburn protocol now active." Humanity's chains were about to be broken. Dr. Marcus Wong moved through the sprawling underwater complex with practiced efficiency, the gentle hum of advanced machinery accompanying his footsteps. 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, Poseidon's Forge had operated undetected for 4 decades, shielded from Galactic Council scans by a combination of depth, specialized materials, and technology reverse-engineered from the very races that believe humanity contained. "Status report," Marcus commanded as he entered the central command hub. Wall-to-wall holographic displays illuminated the circular chamber with a blue glow, each showing different aspects of humanity's secret preparations. "All defense platforms in the asteroid belt report ready status," replied Commander Santos, her fingers dancing across the adaptive interface. The Mars Southern Pole cannon is charged to 93% capacity. Luna contingencies are active but compromised. We've lost contact with Sublevel 3. Marcus nodded grimly. The Council believed humanity, chastened and technologically stagnant, restricted to outdated fusion drives and pre-FTL weapons systems. They had no concept of how humans operated when backed into a corner. What about the Titan situation? Santos' expression darkened. Last automated transmission indicated biological signatures boarding the research station, not Council configurations. Before Marcus could respond, proximity alarms blared throughout the facility. The central holotable shifted to display a three-dimensional map of the solar system, where dozens of unknown vessels emerged from hyperspace at the system's edge. Identification, Marcus demanded, though he already suspected the answer. Lieutenant Kai Okafor stepped forward, the neural implants at his temples pulsing with soft blue light, enhancements strictly forbidden under the Treaty of Submission. The young tactical officer interfaced directly with the facility sensors, his augmented mind processing data faster than any conventional computer. Vrex configuration, Kai confirmed, his voice unnaturally calm despite the implications. 97 vessels, primarily Hunter class. But their approach pattern. He paused, his enhanced eyes tracking invisible correlations in the data. They're hunting, sir, and they think we're easy prey. A cold silence fell over the command center as the reality sank in. The Vrex were apex predators, a species so violent they had been contained by the Galactic Council centuries ago. Their ships incorporated biological components, living weapons guided by instincts as much as intelligence. They chose their timing well, Marcus observed. The Council inspection teams are currently on Earth. By the time they report back, we'll already be under attack, Santos finished. Marcus straightened his shoulders. Activate the asteroid belt defenses. Bring all systems to full readiness. Throughout the solar system, thousands of seemingly abandoned mining operations simultaneously hummed to life, holographic camouflage, dissolving to reveal weapon platforms built into the very rock of the asteroids. On Mars, the southern ice cap shifted as massive doors opened to expose an energy cannon large enough to be mistaken for a small crater. Sir, Kai interrupted, his enhanced senses detecting a new development. Vrex scout ships approaching Mars. They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes. A message flashed across the command screens, a transmission from Mars Colony Governor Eliza Kagan, evacuating civilians to subsurface shelters. Defense systems online. We will hold as long as possible. Marcus opened a secure channel to Admiral Chen. Helena, the Vrex are here. Asteroid defense grid is active. Mars is preparing first strike. The Admiral's voice came through. Steel beneath the static. Understood. Ambassador Zorn is still oblivious. I'm implementing Protocol Lazarus now. As the first Vrex scout ships approached Mars, they detected nothing unusual about the red planet until the southern pole erupted with blinding energy. The beam cut through 3 vessels before they could report back. On the command center screens, they watched Mars Colony's final message before communications were restricted to emergency channels. They'd come to finish what they started. This time, we finished them first. The real war for humanity's future had begun. Captain Amara Davis watched through the reinforced viewport as the lunar colony burned. The ESS Persistence hung in Earth orbit, officially classified as a scientific survey vessel, but secretly Earth's most advanced warship. From this distance, the destruction unfolding on the lunar surface appeared almost beautiful, flashes of light against the gray landscape as Vrex ships methodically targeted habitation domes. Casualty reports from Luna coming in, her executive officer, Commander Jackson, reported. His voice remained steady, but the muscle twitching in his jaw betrayed his rage. Civilian death toll already over 3,000. They hit the nursery domes first. Of course they did, Amara said quietly. Predators always target the vulnerable first. She turned to face her bridge crew. 15 officers manning stations designed for 40. Under Council restrictions, the Persistence was severely undermanned, but every person aboard had been enhanced and trained to perform multiple roles simultaneously. "We need Council approval to engage," Jackson reminded her, protocol warring with the fury evident in his eyes. "The treaty explicitly forbids." "The treaty is dead," Amara interrupted, sliding into the captain's chair and activating ship-wide communication. "All hands, battle stations, weapon systems online. Prepare for immediate engagement." When Jackson hesitated, she locked eyes with him. "Commander, the Council left us to die. We don't need their permission to defend ourselves anymore." She watched understanding dawn on his face, followed by grim satisfaction. He nodded once and turned to his station. Weapons hot. Targeting solutions calculating. The Persistence moved unlike any ship the Vrex had encountered, its hull incorporating crystalline lattices that absorbed energy weapons while its point defense systems intercepted incoming projectiles with uncanny precision. What should have been a simple kill became something else entirely as Amara's ship accelerated toward the Vrex vanguard. "Multiple hostiles targeting us," reported Lieutenant Wei from Tactical. 3 cruiser-class, 8 hunter-class converging on our position. Amara allowed herself a cold smile. Just as predicted, let them come. As the Vrex ships surrounded the Persistence, they fired simultaneously, a standard tactic designed to overwhelm defensive capabilities. But the Persistence's hull flared with absorbed energy, its crystalline structure converting the enemy weapon's fire into usable power. "Energy reserves at 128% capacity," Wei announced, something like wonder in her voice. "Ready to implement countermeasures." "Execute Pattern Hydra," Amara commanded. The Persistence suddenly unleashed the stored energy in a radial burst that disrupted the Vrex ship's biological components. As the enemy vessels reeled from the unexpected attack, Amara's gunners targeted their now exposed propulsion systems with surgical precision. Aboard his command ship, Vrex Commander Shirax watched in disbelief as 3 of his cruisers were disabled by a vessel that should have been easily overwhelmed. His exoskeleton clicked in agitation, sensory appendages twitching as he analyzed the battle data. "Impossible," he chittered to his executive, mandibles clacking. "Their ship is absorbing our energy weapons and redirecting the power." Council intelligence indicated humans possessed no such technology. His second-in-command responded, blue hemolymph pulsing visibly through translucent chitin. "Perhaps we should withdraw and reassess." Shirax's clawed appendage struck with blinding speed, impaling his lieutenant through the thorax. As the subordinate's body slid to the deck, Shirax addressed the rest of his command crew. "They're just humans," he hissed. "Damaged, isolated, and weak. We will not become part of their legend." He turned back to the tactical display, watching as the Persistence executed a maneuver that defied Vrex combat algorithms. Where Vrex ships moved with perfect mathematical efficiency, the human vessel appeared to make choices that contradicted survival probability calculations. "All ships," Shirax commanded, "converge and overwhelm. No survivors." As the main Vrex fleet approached Earth, humanity's first real stand was about to begin. The Galactic Council chambers hummed with barely contained excitement. Representatives from 17 dominant species occupied their designated positions in the massive amphitheater, emergency session protocols having overridden the usual ceremonial delays. "The humans are under attack," announced High Counselor Torvesh, his gelatinous form pulsating with simulated concern. "The Vrex have somehow breached the containment grid and entered Sol's system." On the surface, the assembled delegates responded with appropriate alarm. Tentacles waving, photosynthetic fronds fluttering, exoskeletons clicking in agitation. But beneath this performance, subtle messages passed between certain representatives. A specific pattern of bioluminescence from the Kulari delegate, a precisely timed release of pheromones from the Kin collective. The Trescan ambassador, Mevik, tapped a delicate claw against his console. We have received an emergency transmission from Earth invoking Article 7 of the Treaty of Submission, the Mutual Defense Clause. How unfortunate that our response fleet is currently deployed to the Cygnus Arm, replied the Coulari representative, light patterns across her translucent skin conveying amusement to those who could read them. It would take at least 14 cycles to redirect them. By which time, added Torvash with practiced solemnity, the situation will likely have resolved itself. The Council's internal communication network flickered with encrypted messages. Asterisk, let them weaken each other. We can claim we didn't receive the distress call in time. Asterisk. Only Ambassador Zorn's sudden transmission from Earth interrupted their plotting. His holographic form materialized in the center of the chamber, multiple appendages gesticulating in obvious distress. The humans know, he chittered, abandoning diplomatic composure. They'd been monitoring His transmission abruptly terminated, leaving the Council in stunned silence. On Earth, Admiral Helena Chen watched dispassionately as Marines escorted a restrained Ambassador Zorn from the communication chamber. Your signal has been terminated, Ambassador, she informed him coolly. But don't worry, your colleagues received enough to understand their predicament. The Council chamber had been transformed into a war room, holographic displays showing the ongoing space battle. The Persistence had been joined by 3 additional ships that had emerged from hidden docks in the asteroid belt. Though outnumbered, the human vessels were inflicting disproportionate damage on the Vrex fleet. For 50 years, Helena continued, we've played the defeated civilization. We've signed your treaties, accepted your observers, and pretended not to notice as you stripped our colonies and restricted our growth. Dr. Marcus Wong entered, tablet in hand. The quantum entanglement network is ready, Admiral. Helena nodded. Activated. Throughout the room, holographic projections appeared. Surveillance footage showing clandestine meetings between Council representatives and Vrex intermediaries over the past 3 years. Audio recordings captured explicit discussions of using the predatory species to eliminate humanity without Council fingerprints on the genocide. Impossible, Zorn whispered, his translator failing to mask his shock. Our communications are unbreakable. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Nothing is unbreakable to those with sufficient motivation, Ambassador. Helena approached Zorn, her scared face inches from his eye clusters. For half a century, you believed us broken. You never realized that humans are most dangerous when they appear defeated. Zorn's appendages twisted into the formal gesture invoking diplomatic immunity. This outrage violates all established protocols. My person is inviolate under galactic law. Helena responded by activating footage of the lunar colony's destruction. Children fleeing as habitat domes decompressed, civilians being hunted through corridors by Vrex boarding parties. Tell me, Ambassador, she asked quietly, does your immunity extend to conspiracy to commit genocide? As Zorn was led away, Helena opened a broadcast channel to all Earth forces. This is Admiral Chen. Protocol Lazarus is now active. The chains are off. On screens throughout the solar system, the emblem of old Earth appeared, not the modified version forced upon them by the treaty, but the original, a planet with sword in hand, surrounded by stars. Beneath it, words that had been forbidden for 50 years. We stand unbroken. The galaxy was about to remember why it had feared humanity in the first place. Lieutenant Kai Okafor stood in the hangar bay of Poseidon's Forge, studying the vessel before him. The Phantom barely deserved to be called a ship, a sleek, obsidian craft, no larger than a shuttle, designed for a single purpose, to move unseen. You understand this is likely one way, Dr. Wong said, standing beside him. Even with the stealth systems, the Vrex will detect you once graviton activates. Kai nodded, the neural implants at his temples pulsing softly. The mission parameters are clear, sir. His team of 5 specialists waited by the boarding ramp, each enhanced beyond what the treaty had permitted. Engineer Sato with her reinforced skeleton and radiation resistance. Communications expert Green with his direct neural interface capabilities. Security Officer Rodriguez with combat reflexes twice as fast as an unmodified human. Doctors Chen and Patel with their enhanced cognitive processing for the complex activation sequence that waited on Titan. Stealth insertion to Titan. Kai recited, activate the graviton device and pilot it into the Vrex fleet formation. Simple. Wong's expression remained grave. Nothing about this mission is simple, Lieutenant. Graviton violates at least 7 different Council prohibitions. If the Vrex don't kill you, the Council would execute you just for knowing it exists. Graviton, humanity's most closely guarded technological advancement. A gravity manipulation system that created localized distortions in spacetime. The Vrex, who navigated partially through natural gravitational sensing organs, would be particularly vulnerable. Time to departure, Kai asked. 20 minutes, Wong replied. The outer battle is providing cover for your launch. Just remember, Titan's surface was never fully mapped by the Council. The research outpost built the device within the methane lakes to avoid detection. Kai nodded and moved toward his team, but Wong caught his arm. Lieutenant, the scientist said quietly, bring our people home if you can. The Phantom slipped through the battle undetected, its advanced metamaterials absorbing radar and lidar, while its heat signature matched the background radiation of space. As they approached Titan, the devastation became apparent. The research outpost's main dome had been breached, its structures partially collapsed. Life signs, Kai asked as they entered orbit. Green's eyes rolled back, his consciousness merged with the ship's sensors. Faint readings, multiple human signatures in the secondary facility, and Vrex biosigns throughout the complex. Kai made his decision instantly. Change of plans. Rodriguez and I will secure the device. Sato, Green, Patel, find and extract any survivors. Sir, Rodriguez objected. Mission parameters specify. I'm aware of the parameters, Kai cut him off. But there are still people alive down there. We don't leave our own. They landed silently 3 kilometers from the primary research dome, using Titan's thick atmosphere and methane fog as additional cover. As the team split up, Kai and Rodriguez moved toward the coordinates of Graviton's hidden chamber. What they found stopped them cold. The entrance to the underground facility had been torn open, methane ice shattered by what appeared to be massive claws. Inside, the lighting flickered, casting grotesque shadows across walls stained with frozen human blood. They knew exactly where to look. Rodriguez whispered, "How?" A distant scream echoed through the facility. Human, female, abruptly cut short. Kai activated his neural combat interface, the world slowing around him as his enhanced perception accelerated. Move fast, stay quiet. We have 2 objectives now. They descended through darkened corridors, encountering signs of struggle everywhere. When they finally reached the central chamber, the horror of what they witnessed burned itself into Kai's memory. Humans suspended in fluid-filled tanks, still alive, their bodies connected to Vrex machinery through nightmarish interfaces. They're not just killing us, Rodriguez breathed. They're studying us. Beneath this atrocity lay their objective, Graviton, a deceptively small device for something capable of warping the fabric of reality itself. Kai's comm unit crackled. "Lieutenant," came Sato's voice, tension evident despite the static. "We've found survivors, 23 still alive. But we've got company incoming, lots of it." Kai looked at the captive researchers, then at Graviton, the weight of impossible choices pressing down on him. "Get the survivors to the ship," he ordered. "I'll activate Graviton manually." The true battle for humanity's future was about to begin. Captain Amara Davis watched as the tactical display updated, showing the Vrex fleet's disarray following Graviton's activation. The massive gravity distortion had torn apart multiple enemy ships while rendering the biological navigation systems of the survivors useless. The predators had become prey. "Status of strike force," she demanded, her voice steady despite the exhaustion of 18 hours of continuous battle. "All vessels reporting operational," her XO responded. "Damage to Defiance and Retribution significant, but systems remain functional. The Vigilance has lost FTL capability, but weapons are online." Amara nodded, studying the enemy formations. With their natural gravitational senses disrupted, the Vrex ships were moving erratically, their once precision formations now scattered and vulnerable. "Transmit strike pattern Omega to all ships," she ordered. "Execute on my mark." Throughout the solar system, 5 human vessels moved into position. They were outnumbered nearly 15 to 1, but the graviton's effects had leveled the playing field. What made humanity dangerous wasn't its technology, but its approach to warfare. "Pattern Omega acknowledged by all captains," the communications officer reported. Amara took a deep breath. "Execute." The 5 human ships accelerated at velocities that would kill most sentient species, their crews protected by inertial dampeners and biological enhancements that allowed them to withstand forces that would rupture organs and shatter bones of other races. Where galactic doctrine demanded logical, predictable attack vectors, the human vessels performed maneuvers that Vrex combat computers classified as impossible. No sentient pilot would attempt them due to the survival risk. But humans had evolved on a death world, their bodies designed to endure punishment that would destroy more fragile species. The neural enhancements only magnified this natural advantage. Aboard the Vrex command ship, Shirax watched in growing horror as his fleet disintegrated around him. The gravity weapon had disoriented his navigators, but the real devastation came from the human counterattack. "They're insane," his new second-in-command hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. No logical species would attempt such maneuvers. Shirax couldn't disagree. The human vessels were executing attack patterns that sacrificed safety for effectiveness, coming in at angles and speeds that defied conventional combat doctrine. When the cruiser-class vessel Defiance suffered critical damage to its port side, instead of withdrawing as galactic tactics would demand, the captain deliberately rammed the crippled section into a Vrex dreadnought's command center, using the damaged ship as a weapon. "Order all ships to fall back to the jump point," Shirax commanded. "We must regroup beyond their weapons range." His navigator's appendages trembled. Hyperspace drives are not responding correctly. The gravitational distortions are preventing accurate jump calculations. For the first time in his long life, Shirax felt true fear. The humans weren't just fighting. They were hunting. In Earth's secure command center, Ambassador Zorn watched the battle unfold from his containment field. His translator struggled to convert his clicks and whistles into human language as he addressed Admiral Chen. "This is madness," he said. "Your ships are executing suicide maneuvers." Helena allowed herself a cold smile. "Nothing about our tactics is suicidal, Ambassador. We've been training for this for 50 years. Zorn's appendages writhed in agitation. "You've been preparing for this for 50 years. "No, Ambassador," Helena replied, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's long memory. "We've been preparing for this since we first discovered fire and realized it could keep the predators at bay. War isn't an aberration for humanity. It's how we survived long enough to reach the stars." On the main display, they watched as Shirax ordered a full retreat, only to discover the trap humanity had set, a previously unknown technology that disrupted hyperspace jumps within the solar system. The predators were caged with their intended prey. For the first time in recorded history, a Vrex commander transmitted a surrender signal. Captain Davis's response echoed through the command center. "No terms. No negotiations. Predators don't get to leave the hunting ground when the prey proves too dangerous." The galaxy's oldest lesson was being taught once again. Never corner something that has nothing left to lose. The Galactic Council's emergency session descended into chaos as news of humanity's victory spread. The massive amphitheater, designed to project calm authority, now echoed with accusations and denials. Species that had dominated interstellar politics for millennia found themselves facing an unprecedented situation: accountability. The humans have destroyed most of the Vrex fleet, High Counselor Torvesh announced, his gelatinous form quivering with what might have been fear. They've also captured Ambassador Zorn. Impossible, chittered the Kulari representative, her bioluminescent patterns flashing in agitation. Their technology was confiscated. Their military capabilities are monitored. This must be a mistake. The chamber fell silent as a transmission cut through their deliberations. Admiral Helena Chen's holographic form materialized in the center of the council chamber, her scared face resolute, her military bearing undiminished by age or past defeat. "Honorable representatives," she began, her voice dripping with cold sarcasm. "I thought you might appreciate an update on the situation your treaty was supposed to prevent." Images appeared around her. The ruined Vrex fleet, the activated defense systems throughout Earth's solar system, and most disturbingly, footage of council representatives meeting with Vrex intermediaries over the past 3 years. For decades, Helena continued, "You treated humanity as a dangerous child to be contained. You were right to fear us, but for all the wrong reasons." The Trescan ambassador rose, his crystalline form refracting light, in patterns indicating diplomatic authority. "Admiral Chen, these accusations are baseless. The Council would never." "Say your denials," Helena interrupted. "During our isolation, we deployed thousands of microscopic stealth probes throughout Council space. We've been watching you, all of you, as you plotted our extinction." A wave of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Such technology is beyond human capability. The Xin Collective representative insisted, pheromones of distress overwhelming their usual scent control. Helena smiled thinly. "You'd be surprised what humans can accomplish when properly motivated. We had 50 years and an entire planet of scientists with nothing to do but innovate ways to ensure our survival. The evidence you presented didn't just implicate those who conspired with the Vrex. It revealed systematic oppression of dozens of lesser species. Trade restrictions designed to keep developing civilizations dependent. Medical technologies withheld from worlds that couldn't pay exorbitant fees. Entire planetary populations relegated to resource extraction for the benefit of council races. As various council members attempted to deflect, threaten, or justify their actions, Helena let them talk themselves into corners before springing her final trap. Earth has already formed alliances with 7 previously marginalized species, she revealed. While you were watching us, we were building connections with those you deemed unworthy of notice. The holographic display shifted to show representatives from these former, lesser species, the silicon-based Lithians, the methane-breeding Caladrians, the hive-minded Vespari, and others, all standing alongside human diplomats. A reptilian delegate addressed the council, scales shifting to indicate formal testimony. "You feared humans because they survive after devastating losses. We trust them for the exact same reason." High Counselor Torvesh's translucent body darkened with stress pigments. "What are your demands, Admiral?" Helena's expression hardened. "Not demands. Requirements. The Galactic Council will be reformed. A new charter establishing equal rights for all sentient species, regardless of technological development. The alternative is simple, a multi-species rebellion led by humanity." The council chamber erupted in protests, but the truth was undeniable. The balance of power had irrevocably shifted. The galaxy was about to enter a new era, whether the old powers approved or not. "You have 48 hours to decide," Helena concluded. "Choose wisely." 6 months after what the galaxy now called the Earth Rebellion, the transformed Galactic Council convened in a location that would have been unthinkable a year earlier, a massive space station orbiting the reconstructed lunar colony. The station's architecture blended designs from 17 different species, a physical manifestation of the new cooperative philosophy. Admiral Helena Chen stood at the viewport of her private chamber, watching as diplomatic vessels from across the galaxy docked at the station. Her dress uniform felt stiff after months of wearing the more practical combat attire, but today's ceremony demanded formality. "It's time, Admiral," her aide announced from the doorway. Helena nodded, running a finger across the scar on her face, a reminder of the day the galaxy had first tried to teach humanity its place. Today, the lesson would be reversed. The council chamber had been designed as a perfect circle with no elevated positions. All representatives sat at the same level, a symbol of the new equality. As Helena entered, the assembled delegates fell silent. Former enemies and newly empowered allies alike watched as the human who had changed the galactic order took her position at the signing table. Dr. Marcus Wong approached, carrying data tablets containing the technological exchange treaties. Under the new agreements, humanity would share its unique innovations, particularly in medicine, gravitational manipulation, and neural interfaces, in return for spacefaring technology Earth still lacked. The isolation meant to weaken us became our laboratory, Marcus explained to the delegates. Without the distraction of interstellar politics, humanity focused inward, pursuing avenues of research other species considered impractical or impossible. Captain Amara Davis, now Admiral Davis, stood nearby in her new role as commander of the multi-species Rapid Response Force. The fleet she led included ships from 12 different civilizations, all dedicated to protecting vulnerable worlds from threats like the Vrex. The predators have been contained, she reported, but not exterminated. We recognize the value of remembering our enemies. Lieutenant Kai Okafor, who had survived his mission against all odds, now worked alongside former Vrex prisoners. His neural implants allowed direct communication with the biological components of their technology, a bridge between the organic and mechanical that symbolize the new era of cooperation. Understanding your enemy doesn't mean forgiving their actions, Kai told the assembly. It means ensuring those actions are never repeated. As the final preparations for the signing ceremony were completed, a small commotion at the chamber entrance drew everyone's attention. A young girl, one of the survivors from the Titan research station, approached Helena with deliberate steps. In her hand, she carried a simple hand-drawn picture showing Earth surrounded by stars. A single word was written across it in a child's unsteady script. Home. Helena accepted the drawing with a solemn nod, then removed the ceremonial pen she had been expected to use. Instead, she withdrew the simple stylus the child had used for her artwork. With this, Helena announced, I sign not as an admiral, but as a human being who remembers both war and peace. The new Galactic Charter established rights for all sentient species regardless of technological development. It created frameworks for mutual defense, technological exchange, and peaceful resolution of conflicts. But most importantly, it acknowledged a fundamental truth. Diversity of thought and approach made the galaxy stronger, not weaker. As delegates departed Earth's solar system, they passed a solemn monument at the system's edge. A massive holographic display showing Earth in flames during the first invasion 50 years ago, with words that served as both promise and warning. We remember. We adapt. We endure. The galaxy would never again mistake humanity's adaptability for weakness, nor its memory for forgiveness.